Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another show. My name is Tyler, and I'm here with Matt, the founder of ORATS. ORATS is an options analytics platform built on top of over 15 years of historical options data. Our dashboard is integrated with Tradier, meaning you can research and discover trades on our platform and then seamlessly send them through to your Tradier brokerage account. Today on the show, we're going to be discussing some of our options available for quants and other data researchers for you guys to research some options data. Matt, do you want to go over, share your screen and go over our APIs and all that other stuff we offer?
Yeah, definitely. So here we are at ORATS.com. You can see our data is broken up into APIs, of which we have options data APIs that are near end of day back to 2007. And there are intraday, which is 1 minute and some 2 minute going back to August 2020. And I guess we could leak that we're processing 2015 to 2020 2-minute data. So we'll have 2 minutes for 5 years and then 1 minute for 5 years, giving 10 years of intraday data. So that's pretty exciting. And of course, our documentation for all the endpoints is under the APIs. So anything there for you, Tyler?
Yeah, it's a pretty basic offering. You just have the choice between those two. If you click on one of those pages, Matt, and then go down to the pricing, we'll show you the pricing for. So these are all 3 tiers for both APIs. So you have the standard, the cheapest options, the delayed. You can upgrade that to live, and then if you want intraday history, that's the 1 minute history back to 2020. That's $3.99 a month.
Right, and there's a million hits on that one since it's intraday historical, so people will use a lot. 100,000 on the live, usually enough, and 20,000 on our basic data API. Now these are this delayed data API near end of day and kind of live throughout the day or delayed throughout the day. Live throughout the day on our live data API, and historic is you get historic with this too, near end of day. And then the live intraday is really cool because you can pick any minute and go take a look at that. As a matter of fact, what I'd like to do now, Tyler, is just go to our API console, go to the historical intraday, kind of see what that looks like. So it's strikes change history, and you could go to any minute here. So this is 2022, August 8th at 10 a.m. And you could go hit that and it's already here. So, I'll open that and you can see that it's August 8th, 2022. Here are all the strikes, all the prices going back, and you can see that it's updated at the time of day is 10 a.m. So very cool, very technology savvy way to access a fast database of all our 1 minute data.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. One other thing to point out while we're still on the APIs, the options we just showed are for individual retail traders. If you are a professional or a platform looking to use our data to redistribute or show anybody, you have to get one of these licenses. And when you're a professional or enterprise, there are restrictions on what data you guys can process. And those are established by the exchanges and OPRA.
Yeah, good point. And we should also mention that for certain APIs like the delayed OPRA, you need to fill out a form and let them know. And the live OPRA, you have to fill out a form. And the live OPRA with intraday data, you have to fill out a form. You might notice there is none for the derived data API. So the derived data API is different, and you could read about that separately. However, I'll just go over the main points. So there's no OPRA data, and OPRA data is volume, current volume for the day. There's no actual option bid ask, and there's no actual stock mid price. So what we do show is open interest. So that's at the end of the day. So that's not considered Oprah data. And then we also show the stock price as estimated by using put call parity. So that is how we show stock prices, and derived option prices are provided using our smoothing techniques. I'll just go over that real quickly. Our smoothing techniques is how we summarize the implied volatility skew. We draw this orange line through the bid-ask data, and we make theoretical values. And now, most of the time, those theoretical values are within the bid-ask price. So with the derived data, you would not see 290 or 292 for this 620 call. You would see, now it's 293, 294. You would see 294 as our SMV value. That's our smooth value. So that's very close. And then you won't see bid you see implied volatilities. You just won't see the actual bid ask. And then the stock price is estimated using put call parity. Anything else on that?
Yeah, that's a good overview of the derived. And if you guys have any more questions on that, we have some PDFs that you guys can read. And you just email support@orats.com and we'll send those over to you. You can even have a meeting with us. We work with quite a bit of institutions. So this is an offering that we're growing, and we're offering to more and more people. It's pretty well liked in the community. So
yeah, you're right. We've had videos on that, I think, and it's a way for people to start off and get data, and then you grow into Oprah data later. Sorry to cut you off there, Tom.
Oh, you're good. I was going to say, so we get a lot of questions on the APIs versus the historical data, and sometimes people are confused. And so I'd like to clear a lot of that up on this episode. So the APIs are, let's just go over like what a typical use case of the API is. If you're a programmer or you're trying to get data for one symbol at a time, the API is great for that because you have 20,000 hits a month, or sometimes 1 million hits per month. You can download like intraday history for 2 to 3 symbols every month, like the full history. So it's great if you just want historical data for a few symbols, and you can download all that. It's probably the number one question we get, like what's the difference between the historical data and the APIs? The other main difference is that the APIs have our monies and summaries and cores endpoints, which include indicators, like summarized indicators that kind of what makes ORATS what we are. So those indicators are X earnings, implied volatility, contango, slope, all those other measurements that we do. There's hundreds of them. And I'm sure Matt will go over some in a second. But the historical data flat files don't include that information. So if you're looking for those indicators, you'd want to come to the API. Those are probably the two primary differences. Matt, did I miss anything there?
Yeah, that's a good point. So again, we're still in the API, right? So there is historical data in the API.
Yes.
But historical data doesn't include some of those summarized endpoints that you talk about. And if you want to see those, you could go to so our money's implied, and so I'll pull that up for Apple. So you'll see things like every expiration, every volatility bucket, every 5 delta. What are the what are the volatilities, and it's broken out by expiration date. I don't know if you could see that okay, but again, you could go to our API console to see those historical endpoints. There's also summaries. Again, and the summaries have things like I got summaries for everything. Let me go back. So if you don't put a date, you'll get all the dates, which is great. But it's a big field. So the summaries have things like the X earnings 10-day, the implied volatility 20-day, slopes and derivatives. That's our curvature. What the implied volatility is at the 30-day at the 5 delta, 75 delta, 95 delta. So a lot of different things are there. And then you can see, forward rates and implied volatility moves. So I'm sorry, the implied earnings move in Apple back then was 4.5%. So you can, go get all that data, and those are the endpoints that are not in the historical data flat files, but are in the APIs.
Yeah, so that's probably the main big difference. So, do you want to go on talking about what the historical data flat files are, why somebody would want to buy those, and sort of the differences there?
Sure. So our oldest data set is the near end of day data set. It's a complete snapshot of it. So you will download it, and you'll see, a million rows or something in there that have all the options that are available, all the equity options. And then so people will download all of that and, go back to 2007. So, that's how we actually built our own back tester on that data. So
this is delivered in CSV files over FTP,
right. Yeah. So you put like a FileZilla together, and you go get all that data. Here's FileZilla. It's a third party that you could, go connect to your host, and which is us, and you'll get all this information, and then you'll be able to download all the files. So that's, one way to, it's a popular way, old school a little bit, but popular way to get, get your data, all the definitions for the data is here. Again, individual, professional, enterprise, near and end of day, ongoing, and then historical data one time. So a lot of people will get the one time and then get the ongoing from there.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions about backfilling. So what happens if I buy the historical data now, and a year from now I want more data?
Yeah, then you'll just you could then, we're pretty kind. We just say you just start the recurring data subscription, and then you could go download it.
Okay. Yeah, we get that a lot. So we have the near end of day from 2007 to now delivered via FTP, and they're all in CSV files. That's why we call them the flat files. And the API obviously is delivered in JSON format via a REST API URL. So those are the big differences there. And I would say that the primary use case of the historical data is if you're doing big data research. So students, we have a lot of students get our historical data. We actually have a student discount. You want to show that page, Matt?
Sure.
So if you're a student, definitely use the student discount. We actually support a lot of students with the historical data. It's very common. So
and we just ask for your student ID that's up to date, and then your student email, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, so it's very common amongst students because you can get all the data at once, all the historical data, and then perform some big data research on it. So it's a very common use case of that.
And we're getting quite a few people signing up now for the 1 minute data for this Tyler.
Yeah. I mean, zero DTE trading has become a lot more popular, and that data goes back 5 years now. So, if you're doing any big data research on intraday zero DTE data, that's the data set for you. Now, the thing about this data set is that it's so large. We don't deliver it via FTP. We deliver it to AWS S3 in a bucket. So we have a bucket with all of our data, and we'll sync it to your bucket. So you'll have the data forever, but you will need to pay some AWS transfer costs and storage fees depending on how long you want to access that data and where you want to store it and how fast you want to be able to access it and download it.
Right. So what happens when you sign up for this? We send you an email with all the instructions. You send us the name of the bucket and we fill it up. And you could either have it one time or then you could start updating that. So, like I said, that's been a pretty popular download for people.
Yeah. And that 2-minute snapshot there on the right, Matt, we're, like you said earlier, we're processing that data to 1-minute data. So that might get merged into the 1 minute eventually.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably just have probably just keep it at $2,000, right? And say you could get it all the way back to 2015.
Yeah.
And then then it's 1 and 2. This will probably become 1 and 2 minute.
Yeah.
When we finish this, right? So back to 2015, same pricing, a little bit more on the initial download since it's a lot more years. So, but that's probably how we'll do it.
So another thing to keep in mind here. So, well, there are two things. So these data sets, we deliver you everything. So you can't pick like, oh, I just want SPY. If you just want 1 or 2 symbols, you got to use the API. Much better use of your money to use the API for that.
Yeah.
The other thing is if you care about our indicators like slope, X earnings, implied volatility, all those other ones, these are not for you. So these deliver you the Greeks and implied volatilities, theoretical values, and options, bid, ask, price, and volume, and all that. They don't include the indicators. So the fields are right there. You can see everything on this page, what fields you're going to get in the data set. But I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah. Those are all good points. And yeah, so that's near end of day, 1 minute, 2 minute data. I mean, we do have some other things like we have dividends. We even have earnings that we don't really publicize, but we can sell future earnings dates. We don't include future earnings dates in our API since it's expensive, and we have a partnership with Wall Street Horizon, which was purchased by the Toronto Stock Exchange. So you can get that through us, but you could also get dividends, so that that kind of talks about our offering that we have right now, Tyler.
Do you want to show the samples? They're in the university. So if anyone's curious on getting samples on the data sets, the flat files, we have them.
Yeah, so you go to historical data under volatility research, and you can here's a recent sample of our near end of day, so you could download that. Just click on that, and there it is. And then again, we tell you how to get at that data. Here's a 1 minute data. And then we also have a sample of the 1 minute data. So that's right here. And then the 2 minute data, there's a sample of that as well. So, and then dividends, we talk about what's in the dividends. And then we talk about some information on our index options, because that's another thing that we offer.
Great. Yeah, university is very helpful. A lot of stuff's on there, especially with our indicators, historical data, and everything like that.
Yeah, and that's the place that you could download those files and make sure that they're meaningful to you. So some of the future things that we're looking at, and if you have any requests, please send them to support@orats.com. One of the things that we want to do is Tyler, you mentioned 1 minute that gets everything. We want to explore, being able just to deliver symbol by symbol in that. I think that would be handy for people. And also one of the things that we're going to do is for our APIs. So we have a number of APIs. What we want to do is provide a example. So here's an example endpoint right? And we would provide one that you could get at without using a token. So that would allow you to get all this data. It would be a static endpoint, but you could start to program to it. So, and when you're ready, you could then just switch on to your regular token. And if you go to auto, you could ask about all the column headers. So you could ask, what is X earn 10-day IV? You can just type that in, and it'll give you what that means. And so auto is a very good place to go to learn more about what the header names mean and get more information that way. And you could, so it talks about X earnings and removing the earnings effect, etc. And then you could also then learn more about this in the university and in our blog. So our blog has, if you start typing, you could see, what some of the articles are about that particular one. So that's how you could pick up a lot more information. So, there's really is a plethora of information. And then we also, of course, have our ORATS YouTube. You're probably watching us now, but we have so many videos that you could search on and see more and more information. So we're trying to get out to as many people as possible. Our new dashboard is going to have more resources, discover and learn tabs, linking you straight to these community. The community is a very good place to go ask questions. ORATS is a registered investment advisor with a robo designation, which means that we aren't really able to answer direct questions from people, either on the phone or by email, but we can direct people to our website and answer questions there. Anything to add to that, Tyler?
I think the community is great. It's a great place to ask questions. We're getting other members of the community answering much faster and much more longer responses than Matt and I sometimes. So it's great to see everyone's support. And
Zoroastra said that there was ice cold service there, so that was nice.
Yeah, we try to support everybody.
She wrote on a Sunday. I answered her 5 minutes later and telling her, "Hey, listen, we're a robo RIA. You have to put your question in the community." And that was the ice cold service. But I've since been chatting with her, so
yeah, it's. I mean, we're supporting lots of clients, and we like to stay small, and we like to keep our responses human, and we look at everything. So sometimes it takes us a while, but we try to get to everything.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else, Tyler? It's a little bit short, but that's all. That's what covered what I wanted to cover.
Yeah, I think just to summarize, we spelled out the difference between the APIs and the historical data. In the APIs, REST APIs, JSON format, they're good for querying a few symbols at a time for live data. And then historical data, flat files, those are best for big data researchers who just want everything in one place. And those are delivered FTP and S3. We also covered like the differences between what is included in the API and the historical data, what fields are different. So the API includes a lot of our indicators, and the historical data flat files just includes the prices, Greeks, and IVs. You teased a few things here and there. We're working on quite a bit right now. We got our hands full with the new dashboard and some other offerings. We are going to be rolling out.
I ask a question since I have you. Why does this only show strikes and not historical intraday? Delayed intraday has monies. Do we need to add that?
Yeah. So there's a historical endpoint that only queries stuff from yesterday and before, that's OPRA data. So summaries and implied monies history is not considered OPRA data. So we don't have a specialized yesterday and before historical endpoint for that. So you can just get the delayed history and yesterday's history in the same endpoint. But for the strikes, you need this one specifically if you're an enterprise.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, nice job, Tyler.
Yeah, good job, Matt. We'll be back again next week. If you guys have any questions, just email support@orats.com or better yet, ask in the community tab, and hopefully someone will get back to you there.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Matt, and thanks, Tradier, for hosting, and we'll be back again next week.
Thanks, Tyler.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.